Have you ever wondered what it takes to get a headliner out? This is what it takes to get a headliner out. You just wail back and... All right, we got to get this headliner out of here. Probably the correct way would be advisable, instead of taking a blowtorch and everything else to it. So I think we're gonna have to remove the upper seatbelt mount bolts to be able to pull these panels down. Obviously the coat hooks and the third brake light. Of course, the overhead console's got to come out, and the sun visors. The trim around the sunroof is cake. You just pull it and it kind of falls out. So I got to pull the rear sunroof latch mechanism down. But I need to get this board out because clearly it's in excellent condition. Look at that. Oh, that's so awesome. It's really cool when you're driving down the road and pieces of dust just keep raining down. As you can see, it's dusty as crap in here, and the car hasn't moved in quite some time. It just rains dust on you. So we got to get all this rotted glue out of here and get it apart. I've got some new material, and I think I'm just going to recover it with just kind of like a stock gray. I'm not going to go crazy and put any logos or anything in it. I kind of thought about it at one point, but I think I'm just going to go back to gray. So let me get some tools and start breaking stuff. All right, I guess step one. Let's remove these bad boys, huh? Pretty straightforward. I mean, there's only 3 screws. How can you mess this up, right? Ooh, famous last words. Guess I shouldn't have said that. Probably poke a hole all the way through the roof. See? That's it. Pretty simple. Get those 3 out. Flip that bad boy down. Get those 3. And then there are 2 torque screws up inside here. I think they're on the outside. Yeah, I don't know if you can see them. They're way up in there. Yeah, there's one right there. This lens is... Oh, excuse me, I'm dying over here. It's cracked, so I had it in the house. I was going to try to glue it or something. I don't know. I'm just going to have to get a new one, I'm pretty sure. So I'll pop that one back out and take those off, because this whole thing's got to come down to install the newer one that has the switch in the center. So let's get that done. And we are topless. So it's easier to take this out, obviously, because you got to take this off. You got to pull this trim. It goes right there. I did find this. That guy right there. Look at this little guy hiding right here. That's got to come off because it doesn't let this move. So let me get that out of there. Well, look at that. It actually comes out fairly easy. It's just kind of held in by these, zoom in, geez, these wedges. That one was already broken, which is why it was so loose. But look at all the dust in here. That's all headliner garbage. It was just waiting to rain down. Oh, we got something broke there too. Oh, yeah, look at that. Those are the clips that are supposed to be holding this on. So I may have to epoxy those back onto this panel. Or maybe I'll get a hold of Fiero factory and see if maybe he's got a new one. I don't know. Either way. But that's the harness, or the conduit anyway, that the harness runs. It goes up there and then immediately turns and goes there for the subwoofer. So since we're doing the headliner anyway, now's the time to install the subwoofer. So let me get the rest of this garbage out of the way and try not to get rained on by all this beautiful goodness right here. Okay, now that those are out, just 2 Phillips screws on that, falls right down. Just 1 on that fell right down. Everything else seems to be out. Obviously that one, I left this one in for now. I'm gonna try to kind of snake around it. If not, then I'll take that one out too. But then we got this guy, which, look at that. It just, you know, I'm glad it adhered in there really well. Oh no, I know. There we go. Okay, now let's see if we can get this headliner out of here. Okay, now that it has done that. The cloth from the headliner is actually wrapped around this metal retainer, this clip here. And then I'm not sure if it's supposed to be adhered in there. It probably is. Maybe a little bit of retain, or maybe not, because maybe that's what, you know, that thing's supposed to hold it in there, but it, you know, does such a great job. So we got to peel all of this out of here, which will be extra fun, because then it's really going to rain down. So not that my seat's in the greatest shape, but the rest of this is going to be completely covered in nasty, so I'm going to have to deal with that. But it looks like it's done all the way around like that, which is why we have that retainer. So I guess I'll get all of that out of there and then try not to get anything in your eyes as you're pulling down a disgusting headliner. Not a fun game, by the way. Hey, look, I was right. It's gonna rain down. Look at all that. Look at all the garbage just raining down. It's so fun driving this car, and you get chunks of headliner in your eyes, your face, and you're breathing it in. Oh, nothing like 40-something-year-old nasty foam. Look at that. Thought I was gonna need a screwdriver. I mean, know why the hell I was thinking that. None of the rest of the headliner's in good shape. Why would this be? Yeah, see, it's completely separated. Good times had by all. That's disgusting. Yeah, I need more than an industrial vacuum for this. This is what I want. Is my light on? What the hell's going on here? Okay. I guess the sun's just deciding to finally show its face. Been a while. Look at all that. See the dust coming off? That's what was raining down on me. And I'm sure many of you have had this exact same problem. You know, I've done a bunch of headliners, but I'm not sure I've done one that was quite this bad. Hopefully this board's not trash, because that's what I need. In worst case, I could just glass the stupid thing. That was way more nasty than it needed to be. I'm covered in that now. You know, look at this. Look at this act of violence on a Fiero. Consequently, it was that side that I had the adhesive on, which was fine because it popped right out. But the roof looks okay. You know, no rust or nothing, which is good news. I ended up replacing some of the sunroof hardware. Probably the part on the glass because I've got that stuff. So I ended up putting a rag there because it was rubbing against the window tint, as you can probably see, and put a scratch in it, which, you know, whatever. That's what it is. Probably should have thought of that before I took it down, but here you go. Don't do what I did. Put a rag there. Because then you don't have to remove this whole side, which I didn't do. I did have to kind of push this back. God, why is that so zoomed in? I pushed this back just a tiny bit just to pull it over, and as soon as it dropped, I pushed this back up and then dropped the whole headliner down and slid it out the passenger side. Look at that. That's in great shape. God, I shouldn't even have taken this out. Look at this. Doesn't that look beautiful? Man, see, it's striped. It's like a tiger. It earned its stripes. Well, 40 years of sitting will do this to you. One little spot, though. So I got a crack here. And I think that was it. Oh, no, it's starting to crack right there. So I might put something over these two areas. Oh, a little bit right there. Because this is the weakest area of the whole thing anyway. Kind of wish they made like a metal bracket that you could put on the back side of this to kind of reinforce it. That's actually kind of weak right there too. Peel that back. Nope, we're good. So I'm going to get a wire brush, a very light wire brush, and get a lot of this, which it pretty well flakes off. My hands are disgusting. It's because you don't want all this old dusty garbage on here before you put the new material on. Let's peel this off. Let's just peel this nasty off. Oh, look, it actually held on in one spot. Yay. Looks like it held on to the backside too. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe not. Yeah, right there. It's holding on right there. But a little tug and it just comes right off. Yeah, good times. There we go. That's gonna go in the trash. Okay. I should be able to save this bad boy. It's kind of funny. Look, you can see an outline of where the mirror sits when it's closed up. All those years of it just kind of sitting there. Ew, disgusting. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to have a date with a vacuum. That's just nasty. Well, at least I won't have this raining problem anymore. I ended up buying a roll of, God, that's dirty, of headliner material from the Fiero store because I thought I had enough left from doing a T-top Trans Am of that roll, but there's definitely not enough left of it. So I ended up just buying a roll from the Fiero store. I figured, well, let's see how theirs color matches, because this is the same interior color that GM used. God, it was super common from like 85 to 92 on the third gens. That this gray was in like everything. The Grand Ams used, I mean, everything used it. Grand Prix, everything used it. So we'll see how it matches. I'll get it up in there. But yeah, the roof is actually not in bad shape. Here's a chunk of headliner. Get that out of here. Almost looks like new up in here. First time it's seen sunlight in 40-something years. You can kind of see how the car was put together. There's some kind of a date code right there. Isn't that cool? Windshield's still in decent shape the way it's adhered. No leaky there. You can kind of see the brackets of how they assembled the metal to the roof and the space frame. Pretty strong for what it was at the time. Okay, let's clean this thing up. I decided against the wire brush because this one's really not that bad, and I just got a a nylon cheap cleaning brush, and it, I mean, look at that. It's taking it right off. You don't want to press too hard. You don't want to crack the board. I mean, the thing is definitely, you know, not new. I got some minor cracks in it already. I'm going to have to try to keep from getting worse. Might throw some fiberglass on it. Now, it's not imperative that you get 100% of this off, but I mean, you need to get a good portion of it. Because wherever this dust is, it's not really, the new stuff's not really going to adhere all that well, because then you're just sticking a headliner to dust. You don't want to do that. Makes all this work for nothing. I really don't want to do this again. At least not for a long time. It is coming off pretty easy, though. Look at that. Alright, I'll get the rest of this off. Figure out what I'm going to do with these two cracks. Probably going to glass them. I should really just glass the whole back side of this thing, but I don't really want to do that right now, especially as how humid it is outside. Maybe I'll wait a few days. I don't know. We'll see. Just keep cleaning it and see how far we get. Okay. As I've vacuumed a little bit because I don't want to be laying in disgusting any more than I have to, clearly. So here's the harness for the subwoofer. This is an uncut original GM harness. Obviously came from a wrecked car. That has the factory subwoofer system, and because I want to add it, we got to put this in. So this is the plug that goes up to the overhead. God, my hands are nasty. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this travesty. It's disgusting. So this goes up to the subwoofer and or the switch and your dome lights, which is different, obviously, than that. So all of this is getting replaced with this. Which what I find interesting is the gauge of these wires is pretty large. Wire alert. Some of you will get that reference. To these, they're not quite as big. I mean, yeah, maybe. I guess those two could be close. I have to look at the wiring diagram to see if those are actually the same, but this seems to be wrapped a lot tighter than this. So getting it in here is going to be real fun because these retainers, I think, are different, and I don't have the original retainers, so I have to try to find some. So I got to run this whole harness all the way down. I've got this plastic sheathing is this here. So I've got all that. So the only thing I really have to retain is these. Oh, wait. Hey, there's one of them right there. Sweet. So I just need one for right here. And it's got to go down, under, back, behind there, and then just a little bit to the other side because the amplifier mounts under the other side. We'll get to that here in a little bit, but I got to try to figure out how this mounts. So I'm going to go grab my my assembly manual just to make sure I've got it in the exact same spot because I don't want to have it, because I know it's got to go behind there, which is behind the dash. I don't really want to pull the dash out. I'm thinking I might be able to snake it underneath. So I guess we'll find out. Use some mechanics wire or something, try to snake it down. Still got to get these out of here. Maybe I'll use some panel bond adhesive or something and put them back on the plastic and just hope that it works. Okay, let's try that. And there we have it. And notice, of course, the sun has come out in the last 15 minutes. So I have run, there's obviously that connector I showed you earlier, running up to the factory retainers, here. There are 3 Christmas tree pins that are in each one of these cutouts, all the way down inside this plastic loom sheath. And you just push them into the holes that are there, and there. That 2-wire connector that I said I had to push down there and try to maybe fish it through or whatever, I did not have to do. As soon as I pushed it down there, there's actually a little channel behind the dash where it just kind of fell into place and it pops out. Of course, you can't see it now, but see the fuse block there? It's like right around this area. It just popped down and fell right into place, and it's completely free of everything around it. So there's like a channel that it went into that it popped out from down there. So I'm going to leave that right there for now. I need to get the radio out and put the radio jumper harness in. So the amplifier will mount, I think it's like right around here. I gotta pull this stuff off. The plastic skeleton that goes all the way down the center console that all this stuff bolts to is where there's actually a pocket in it that the amplifier mounts to here. So the jumper harness just intercepts what's already there. I don't have to rewire anything. Everything just is plug and play at this point. You plug it into the radio, you plug it back into the harness that came out of the radio, plug it into that 2-wire connector there, and then the pigtail It's on that mess. Plugs directly into the amplifier, and then there's just a 2-wire connector. It's those 2 blue wires. Get my zoom to work right there. That goes into the actual subwoofer itself, which mounts directly under there. And we'll get to that later. I just want to get the harness all in now so that all the wiring is done. And then all I have to do is I got to finish the headliner, obviously, and put it back in. But then I can always do the subwoofer later. I do have the subwoofer rebuilt, and I do have the factory box that'll go there. So is it going to give it a whole bunch of bass? No, probably not. The speaker's only like this big. But, you know, for its time period and stuff, I'm sure it'll sound just fine. It'd be better than what it is now, for sure. Because these little speakers that are back there have, like, no low end. And obviously, in a previous episode, we did do front speakers. I don't know if I'll probably just leave the rear because they're not trashed or anything and they sound just fine. But there's that. So let me get that taken apart. I'll show you how that plugs into the radio, how it just jumpers in. So there's no cutting involved. What else is there? Just route the harness, and it's really pretty simple to add this option to a car that didn't have it. Okay, 4 screws. There's 2 screws, 1 on each side on this bracket that held this adapter in. As before, I had already repaired the wires. So according to what I'm seeing here in my wiring diagram, this is kind of a mess. It's all twisted around and it really is making a mess. So as you can see, this is basically that, and that is that. But this goes in between the two. So we're gonna unplug this. That plugs into here now. This will go into the radio side, and that interfaces and gets the signal for the low end, the low frequency that it's trying to amplify. Obviously that goes into the amplifier, which we'll get to that at some point. And then there's only 2 more harnesses. Come on. You got that one, which goes to the subwoofer. And you have another 2-wire, this guy, the long one, which goes to the roof harness there, through under the dash, going over to where that 1 wire is that dropped down there. So this one will be the fun one to fish. I don't think this is going to be too bad, considering how it's all kind of just stuffed behind the radio. Not that there's a lot of room back there, because there really isn't. You got kind of this pocket here, and that's about it. For a lot of guys who've tried to put Fieros or radios in Fieros, and you wonder why this sticks out like this, when a lot of these adapters do have a flush mount, which I actually like to do. This is the only car that I have that has an aftermarket radio. Like all my 3rd gens all have aftermarket radios, but they're flush mounted. It's because of that bracket right there. The factory radio had a stud that came out of the back of it that just kind of located inside that and just kind of held back from kind of bouncing around. If you remove that bracket, you can flush mount pretty much any DIN and a half, double DIN, radio you want in here, but that bracket's got to go. I didn't want to cut it off of this car because I'm trying to keep things from being like unreversible kind of thing, I guess. Consequently, here's that plastic skeleton. You can kind of see how it comes up. The plastic here, it's all one big piece. It comes all the way back behind the shifter. Comes all the way back, somewhere back to here-ish. Big giant like skeleton that everything bolts to. But if you want to flush mount your radio, just remove this bracket. I'm not going to do it in this car. And actually, some new aftermarket stereos aren't even this deep. They're like half as deep now, especially if you don't have like a disc drive in it. They're only about half as deep. You can get Bluetooth radios that only come to like here. And you won't have to worry about that. You can flush mount it all you want. This still kind of drives me a little bit crazy. I kind of wish I could flush mount it, but I'm not gonna remove that. I'm keeping the heat sink on the radio, and I'm not gonna remove that. So we just gotta put this on there, space it out just a tiny bit, and you're good to go. So I'm gonna plug this stuff in and try to fish the 1 wire over, and we'll see how that goes. Well, that was fun. So I fished that wire from there to there, which actually wasn't bad. It's just the fact that it's such a small area, and I'm 6 feet tall, and trying to fit up inside there is no fun. But there's actually, you can almost not screw it up, really, because there's so much room under there, and it's almost like there's a path where it goes. So it went above everything else, and it's not touching anything moving, obviously, and it plugged right in, no problem. Push this back in. There's barely enough room to fit that whole connector back there. Like I said, it's in the pocket right behind here. I put a screw here because this thing's been bowed out for a while, and I thought maybe it was the vinyl. It's not. The plastic underneath this is actually broken. Like, you can kind of see a bulge in it, like right here, and it kind of comes up. So this has been sticking out forever. On the top corner of this carpet, there is a metal clip kind of shaped like a C, that just goes down and clips the carpet in. You can see it's pretty solid. So I just screwed that into the plastic that's behind it. I'm going to end up getting a new one of these, so I just wanted to keep that in. The other side's fine. But the pocket is right here for the amplifier. So since this was already broken, that really kind of saved me a lot of work. You really should remove this. If yours is not broken, remove this. This one was already broken. It's been bowed out. Gotta be that far. It was just sticking way out since I bought the car. So once I realized it was broken, I stopped and went, oh, okay, and just pulled it back a little bit. Peeled the carpet back. There is, let's see if I can get you down there to see it. But you got this here, which almost looks like a hood liner retainer. But take that one out, and then there's another real small one way up over here that keeps the inner and outer plastic skeletons kind of sandwiched together. And the outer one is just held in with another one of those Christmas tree pins. Once you pull that Christmas tree pin out, this piece of plastic, you can pull it back just enough to slide the amplifier down, and there's 3 clips that it automatically just kind of clicks into. Looks like there might have been, on the factory cars, a small screw going into the top, because there is a screw hole that does line up with a tab in this plastic. I didn't put it in there because it's snapped into everything and it doesn't move. You can't feel it. I mean, it's all hard plastic behind here. In fact, here's that metal clip for the carpet. Can't miss it. And then of course you can see some of the wiring, because there's really not a lot of room over here to stuff it behind. This is just hanging up here right now because I don't have the subwoofer box in. But as you can see, there are clips that clip it to the back side of this once it's up in here. I want to get this box in first so that it's got enough to plug into it, and I don't have it like hang in, and I'm going to rot it a little better. So it'll be basically it'll be like that. But I want to make sure that I got enough room right now to be able to plug that in. So I'm just going to leave it for now. The subwoofer is going to sit here. There's a big plastic box that sits here with a port coming off the top that kind of comes over. And then the subwoofer sits in the very bottom facing down. I'll get that in here in a little bit. Not doing it right now because I rebuilt. Actually, I can probably show you. Let's go for a walk, shall we? Oh yeah, there's a mess. Because there's always a mess. Here's a subwoofer. Here. So I had to put a new cone on it, which I did, and I put this cover back on. But I noticed when I got this is a factory GM Fiero subwoofer, by the way. Of course, the lighting in here is awesome. So you can kind of see through it. Looks brand new now, so I should be good. But when I flipped it over, you'll notice, set that down, that the wires that are supposed to be here and here coming off to the pigtail are completely missing. So I do have the pigtail. I want to figure out what polarity is. I mean, you can kind of do it either way and it will function, but I'd rather have it be correct. So there's your original GM numbers. Anybody who's looking for an original one. You can get aftermarket speakers that I'm sure are going to sound better than this, but look at the size of the magnet on that. For a factory speaker from the 80s from GM, it's pretty impressive. So we're going to leave that there. I got to solder that in. The speaker box is here. This is the giant ported box. That's where the speaker mounts there, and it sits vertical like this. I'm not sure what the orientation is yet, 'cause I think it's like that, and then you can see the brackets are still there. I'm not sure when there's a zip tie hanging on this, but the factory brackets are still there, so I should be able to just bolt that back in and be good to rip. I guess while we're in here, I did get seats inside this thing now. Look at that, now it's got 4 seats, yay. Not going anywhere. Doing some work to the brakes and some other stuff. That's why it's part. We'll get to that later. That's why the wheels are off. But yeah, I'd like to get the headlights back in it, which is going to be a fun job. It's looking good, except for all the foliage. But back to the Fiero. I've had the thing open all day, so I put a charger on it just so it wouldn't completely kill the battery, because these lights are still on. I know the ones that obviously the dome lights aren't on, but those ones are still on. Those don't pull a buttload of current, but I don't want to kill the battery. But radio's back in, everything works. That's routed. So really, it's not bad. I've been down here for a couple hours probably, tearing into it and twisting and contorting and getting in and out of the car, which is always fun. Unless you're 5'3", then it probably wouldn't be bad at all. But getting under there that's tough. But routing the wire, like I said, was cake. I dropped that wire down. It fell right into place. I just ran this one over above all the factory harnesses. There's all kinds of room under the dash. Kept it away from the moving any parts of the column or anything like that. And just kind of routed it with the rest of the wires. And it lined right up and plugged right in. It was awesome. All of that was plug and play. And then this will be plug and play once I get that other end of this connector soldered to the speaker and then get the box in. Then I can put all this mess back in, including the headliner, which I have an idea for this. So instead of fiberglassing it like you can do, I think I'm going to put a piece of metal across here, formed to this edge, and then adhere it to this on the back side. So it'll give it kind of a backing, because eventually the fiberglass will break loose from this too. I mean, the metal probably will too, but at least if I put a metal piece formed like that across it, it'll keep it stiff here too. Because I don't want to, because if I'm going to glass it, it should just do the whole thing, and I really don't have time for that. The rest of it's in really good shape, so that's what we're going to do with that. And then we'll get that back in. I still got to do body work up here. Pretty common, by the way, in a Fiero. So just that sucks. I wonder if it's from just the flexing of the glass or just taking the roof in and out. I don't know. But yeah, there you go. I guess for now, we'll leave it at this. Check back and I'll show you the subwoofer install, and then we'll toss something in there that's not going to get me copyright striked, and we'll make sure that it functions. But at least now, I mean, you really can't tell that anything's ever been changed other than the RPO decal. You wouldn't know that this has been added to it later. It's one of the few options I kind of always wanted, other than T-tops, but you know, we're not going to go that far with this car. So we'll get it back together. I got to get some cleaned up mess over there done. Might put the sunroof, I've got new sunroof hardware for here, for these bolts, and I think for the retainers, but the retainers are fine, so I'm probably going to replace those 2 bolts because they're looking a little rough. They don't leak or anything, but they're a little rough. So there we go. So you know the drill. Like, comment, share with your Fiero friends. And if you have Fiero friends, they're probably nuts, okay? Because that's what happens when you own one of these cars. You just kind of drive yourself nuts. Fun car, but man, they'll drive you nuts. All right, I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.